Hello everyone, Tucker from Wasatch Mountains Fishing, here with another how-to video to help you get started ice fishing. Now, when I first started ice fishing, I had to do a lot of research on my own. It took me years to figure out every little in and out of what I needed to do to be the best fisherman and ice fisherman that I could be, and to be as safe as I could be. So I'm going to go over with you today some of the essential things that I think are the most important things you need on the ice with you when you go fishing, and then some of the not essential things, but things that I find very helpful when I go ice fishing. So, without further ado, let's get into it with the essential things that we need when we go ice fishing. For starters, most important thing, if you ask me on the ice, is safety items. This is a spud bar. As you can see, it's a giant metal rod with a sharp end on the end of it. That is to help you stab into the ice to check the ice thickness. Make sure that it is thick enough for you to walk on. This thing has saved my life and my friend's life several times already in the past couple years. So, this is an essential item. You want to make sure you have this on you. It might add a little weight, might be something else that you have to carry out on the ice with you, but trust me, when you don't fall through the ice in 20 plus feet of water, you'll be thanking me for this. Make sure you get one of these spud bars. Next item. The next item on the list is a life jacket. I've gotten several inflatable life jackets that I wear as I'm walking out on the ice. Now, if I've been there before and I know the ice thickness, I'm not too worried about wearing a life jacket. But if I'm not sure of the ice thickness, then I make sure that I get an inflatable life jacket, so that I can, if I go through the ice, even with my spud bar, I can pull the cord and it'll help me stay on the surface, even with all my heavy snow gear on. Now, I don't have them with me, but another important item to carry with you is called spikes. That way, if you fall through the ice, it's really hard to grab and pull yourself back onto the ice. So these spikes, they go around your neck, you pull them apart, and it helps you claw your way back onto the ice if you happen to go through. Another important thing to have with you is a friend. Always go with someone else. It's better to be safe than sorry. I wanted to go ice fishing by myself several times, and because someone couldn't go with me, I didn't go, because if you go through the ice, it's easier to get out if someone is there with you. So another essential thing to have is a friend. Alright, now that we're done with the safety equipment, let's move on to the actual fishing items. So the next most important thing you need to go ice fishing is an auger. If you don't have an auger, then you're not going to be able to get up to punch a hole in the ice so that you can actually go ice fishing. So, this is my auger blade. I've got it set up. I have a power drill that I can attach to this so that I can drill a hole through the ice with that. But you can use just a hand crank auger, so that way you can get through the ice. It takes a little bit longer, takes a lot more effort, but you will eventually get through the ice with that. That is the next most important piece of equipment you can carry with you when you go ice fishing. After that, it's your ice fishing rod. You want to make sure that you've got a good ice fishing rod with you that's got a very sensitive tip to it, so that way you can see when the fish are biting, so that way you know when to set the hook on them. I always take 3 or 4 ice fishing rods with me, no matter how many people are going with me, just so that way everyone can have a rod. I usually try to fish 2 rods myself, and then it just gives you more. The more rods you have in the water, the better. Now, obviously, you want to check your local rules and regulations to know how many fishing rods you can have in the water at any given time. The next most important piece of equipment is your tackle box. Now, we've gone over the lures and baits that have worked best for me in the past several years, so those videos will be linked in the description down below. But you want to make sure you have your tackle box with you. You want to make sure you have plenty of bait, because you never know what might happen. Maybe you have an absolutely phenomenal day of fishing. You don't want to run out of bait while you're on the water. Now, those are all the essential items to go ice fishing, in my opinion. So now we're going to get to some of the more advanced items. So these are items that I didn't get until after I'd already started ice fishing. They're not things that were necessary for me, but they're things that I found extremely useful when I did start using them to go ice fishing. First thing is my ice fishing tent. This thing is only about a 2 or 3 man tent. It's not real big, but it is a godsend. This thing will keep the wind off you. It'll help to insulate you from the cold. And I've put 3 guys in this tent before, and it's been 70 degrees in there, no heater, nothing, just based on from body heat from guys and the sun shining in through the windows. This is really helpful because the wind is one of the things that makes ice fishing so cold. So if you can get an ice fishing tent to block the wind, to keep that breeze off you, it'll help you stay 10 times warmer. I can guarantee it. All right, the next most important thing, most important tool, I should say, is a fish finder. Now, I just barely upgraded. I had a cheap $50 fish finder off of Amazon. I just barely upgraded to the Garmin Striker 4 as my next primary fish finder, and it works amazingly well. It helps me identify fish in the water. But the reason why a fish finder is probably one of the most essential, non-essential tools to use when you go ice fishing is it helps you know how deep the water is that you're in, and it can help you see where the fish are in the water. The first couple years I went ice fishing, I didn't take a fish finder with me. I couldn't see where the fish were. I didn't know how deep the water was. I think I caught 3 fish without a fish finder all that year. Now, that was great catching those 3 fish, but I didn't know there could have been 20 fish swimming around in the water 10 feet above me. I wouldn't have known it. So once I got that fish finder, it really increased the amount of fish I caught exponentially because it allowed me to see under the water, it allowed me to see where the fish were swimming, where they were congregating, how deep the water was, and it helped me see where my lure was to put it right where the fish were. All right, next most important thing, foam pads. These things are a new tool to my arsenal just this year. They are really helpful to keep your feet off the water or off the ice so that your feet stay warmer. I've noticed my feet stayed warmer for longer while ice fishing with these, while I was sitting on these things. Another important tool to have while you're on the ice is a ladle. This thing helps me to scoop the ice chunks and snow that fall into my hole. Now, is this essential? No, I didn't need it. I used my hand before, but that's a really good way to get a really cold hand. This really helps out a lot to keep your hand warm and dry. At least if your hand's staying dry, then that's not a good thing because you're not catching fish. But it helps to keep your warm dry for longer, and it helps to keep your hand warm for longer. All right, the next thing, a chair, something to sit on. Now, I watch a lot of videos where guys go ice fish and they just sit right on the ice. They go and kneel on the ice, and you do you. If you want to go kneel or sit on the ice, that's fine. I like sitting in a chair. I want to have that separation between me and the ice to help keep my body warmer throughout the day. If I'm just sitting right on the ice, that's going to get real cold real fast, and it's going to get real wet real fast. So I always bring a chair with me. Is it essential? No. Is it really nice to have? Yes. And our last item today, crampons. These things aren't super useful when there's a lot of snow on the ice, but if you go ice fishing and there's no snow on the ice, it's slick, it's just nice, smooth, it's like walking on glass. You can fall, you can hurt yourself. These things really help me to get a grip on the ice when there's no snow on it. Now the snow, it helps you grip to the ice, so when there's snow on a lake, I typically don't wear my cleats, but If there's no snow on the ice, I'll wear my cleats, and let me tell you, they really help me stay solid while I'm standing on the ice. And even if I'm running on the ice, I stay pretty solid wearing these things. So I hope that this video has helped you gain a better knowledge of what you need and what you can use when you go ice fishing. This stuff, if you ask me, is all important to use, and I use all of this every single time I go ice fishing, but not all of it's essential. So just make sure when you do go ice fishing, you have that safety gear, that spud bar, that life jacket, a rope, someone to go with you. Those are the four most important things that you need while you're on the ice. Next most important things is a fishing pole and an auger, so that way you can punch a hole through the ice, and then make sure you get some lures so that way you can go catch some fish. Beyond that, that's all you really need to catch fish, but the other stuff is really useful to have. So, tight lines everyone, good luck, I'll see you on the ice.